Manny Pacquiao versus Conor Benn is still a hot topic despite everything that happened. Ireland's own Conor Benn has been in the headlines for years due to his failed drug tests before his fight with Chris Eubank Jr. Of course, this caused major waves, and the matchup was unfortunately canceled as a result. But what happened? Well, Benn tested positive for a female fertility drug called clomiphene, something that's banned in and outside of competition by the WDA. Despite this, Benn and his team maintained their innocence and said it was caused by contamination. In a recent social media post, Benn emotionally said, "I've been through hardships in my career before, but nothing like this." He also said, "My team has proven my innocence, and the truth will soon come out." Unfortunately, Benn's boxing license was ultimately revoked by the BBBC after a second misconduct charge against him was upheld at his hearing. Despite all this, Benn's promoter Eddie Hearn stood firmly behind him and said the charge was absurd. But what does the future hold for Benn? Well, he's planning on coming back in 2023 with a vengeance. He says, "We have never cut corners or cheated the grind in any way," adding, "We believe in work ethic, determination, and pure heart to achieve what we have set out to accomplish." It seems like Benn is aiming to make the most of his setback and use it as fuel for an even more triumphant comeback story. Discussions for a fight between Conor Benn and Manny Pacquiao are heating up, despite the Brits' drug testing failures. While Benn believed that his first one was a faulty result, the second test showed that he had tested positive for the same banned substance, clomiphene. As a result, Benn was forced to relinquish his British boxing license and has been working with doctors and lawyers for months to clear his name. The World Boxing Council is currently in the midst of investigating a 270-page file submitted by Benn's team that claims his innocence. WBC President Mauricio Soleiman has not suspended or banned Benn from fighting, and preliminary talks have already started for a fight between the Brit and Pacquiao. The 8-time world champion announced his professional retirement last August following Yordenis Ugas's successful title defense of the WBA welterweight belt. However, with the possibility of a fight against Benn on the horizon, Pacquiao could be making his return to the ring. Benn is unbeaten in 21 fights and is eager to make his return as soon as possible. Matchroom boxing boss Eddie Hearn has voiced his frustration over how long it's taking for a decision to be made on Benn's test results. He believes it's finally time for him to fight again, despite the lack of an official outcome from the investigation. This would be an interesting matchup between two fighters at different stages of their careers. Pacquiao is one of boxing's greatest ever champions and could show Benn the ropes in the ring, whereas Benn has the drive and ambition to take down any opponent that stands in his way. With Pacquiao potentially coming out of retirement and Benn's hunger for a victory, this could be one fight to keep an eye on. Only time will tell what happens between these two fighters, but it's certainly one to watch out for. But not everyone is happy with this potential fight. Many people believe Conor Benn shouldn't fight Manny Pacquiao due to their age difference. With 43-year-old Pacquiao being much older than the 26-year-old Benn, they feel it would be unfair and disrespectful for a young fighter like Benn to capitalize on an elderly legend who is in his final years as a boxer. This is especially true since Benn failed drug tests ahead of a scheduled fight with Chris Eubank Jr., making his credibility as a fighter under question. It's easy to see why it would be wrong for Benn to take advantage of Pacquiao's age and skill level, which has diminished in recent years following several losses. If a fight does take place, it wouldn't be a fair fight, as Benn is young and in his prime, while Pacquiao is much older and has retired from boxing. On top of that, many people feel that if Benn pursues this fight, he will tarnish his own image as a fighter even further after already failing drug tests. They believe he should instead focus on pursuing younger, top contenders to climb the ladder in order to establish his own name. If he decides not to fight Pacquiao, it would at least show some level of principle, and fans might regain respect for him after failing the drug tests. It's important for Benn to take a step back, focus on climbing the ladder, and establish his own name if he wants to be taken seriously as a fighter. There are some who believe that a win over the boxing legend would be an amazing career-defining moment for him. If Ben decides to take on Pacquiao and manages to knock him out cold, it could prove to be an unforgettable moment for him and boost his career in a big way. Winning against the living legend would be quite an accomplishment and put Ben on the map as a serious fighter. Not only that, but it could also create huge revenue opportunities for Ben if he's able to pull off the win. Pacquiao's a big draw and has a huge fan following all over the world, so any win against him could be worth a lot of money for Ben. On top of that, beating Pacquiao could also improve his reputation in the boxing world that was tarnished by those failed drug tests. A win might make people forget about those issues and help Ben gain respect from the fans and his peers. All in all, a win for Ben over Pacquiao could be quite beneficial for him, as it would be a career-defining moment, and it would open up many new opportunities. It remains to be seen if he decides to take on the challenge or not. On top of that, it's not like Manny has stayed out of controversy either. One of his most iconic fights just got exposed for being fake. Manny Pacquiao's 2010 welterweight fight against Joshua Clottey at Cowboy Stadium was one of the biggest fights in Pacquiao's career, but it turns out fans had good reason to suspect something off about the bout. Clottey recently shared with Prime Take on Joy News that he deliberately lost the fight. Why? Well, Clottey was disgusted with the pay he was getting from the fight, which was drastically lower than originally negotiated by his manager, Vinny Scalpino, at $2 million. Clottey revealed that Scalpino had accepted only $1 million, and all Clottey would get was a measly $3 for each of the 300,000 pay-per-view buys. To make matters worse, Clottey had signed a 3-year contract with his manager that he was not willing to fulfill. It's hardly surprising then that Clottey was so angry and decided to blow it up in the ring. His words speak for themselves. He said, "I tried negotiating, but they claimed if I can't fight, I should leave. So I had to take the fight." Adding that, meanwhile, my manager was making 33% profit from each pay-per-view income, including the fight money. All in all, he said he regretted signing with that manager. It's a shame that fight fans never got to see Clottey at his best, but it's understandable given the shady deal he was forced into. It would have been nice if Pacquiao and Scalpino had stepped up and done right by Clottey, who was left feeling cheated and powerless. But this can also mean Manny has a chance to redeem himself as a boxer in light of this revelation. If he beats a young boxer considered one of the best in the world, it would cement his legacy for good. Do you think Manny can beat Ben? See you in the next one.